issue. And we wish her all the health. Joining me for this At Issue, Mary Stolfa, founder of the Mary Stolfa Cancer Foundation. Also Karen Miller, founder of the Huntington Breast Cancer Action Coalition. And Angela Palmer from the Adelphi, New York statewide breast cancer hotline and support program. Ladies, welcome to At Issue here on News 12. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you very much.
You know, Mary, your story is amazing because you actually just defy all the numbers. 27-year-old woman should not have to worry about breast cancer. And yet you find a lump. And what did you say to yourself? You said, probably nothing to worry about, I'm only 27, but you ran to the doctor like you should. And he even said the same thing to you. Don't worry about it.
He did. He told me not to worry about it. So about 5 months later, I went back to him and I noticed it was getting larger. So the same day he sent me for a mammogram, I went for a sonogram, and within 3 days I was having a lumpectomy and I was having it taken out.
You know, when you look back on it now, were you disappointed that he didn't take the action immediately, or maybe you didn't take the action immediately instead of waiting for a few months?
Yes, because I'm 27 years old.
Right.
My mind is on having fun with family, friends. It's
Right.
not, the last thing on my mind was getting breast cancer. So I always thought it was somebody that would afflict other older women,
Right.
in their 40s,
Right.
50s.
And any
60s.
family history?
Not at all.
Not at all. What ran through your mind when they told you, yeah, this is breast cancer?
I actually remember getting the call, and it was late at night, and my doctor's office called, and I looked down and I could actually see my legs starting to shake, and I just got off the phone and I said to myself, how am I going to tell my parents?
Is that the first thing that came to your mind?
I
How do I tell my parents?
So at first, I'm sorry.
Well, how did they react when you told them?
I remember walking out my bedroom door and I told my mother, and my mother was just in shock. She screamed down to my father, and from there it really was...
So a blur, huh? Karen Miller is the founder of the Huntington Breast Cancer Action Coalition. And Karen, are we sadly hearing more and more stories like this where younger women on Long Island are being diagnosed?
Absolutely. You know, when we started the movement over a dozen years ago, 180,000 women nationally, and about 1,100 women on Long Island were being diagnosed. This year, today, as we speak, 211,400 women and men nationally.
Right. We can't forget the men.
That's right, are being diagnosed, and over 2,400 women and men on Long Island, and a great majority of them are younger. And also the statistics, there is many people dying of this disease, so we really are not making the difference that we intended to make, but I think this year we're changing that paradigm.
You know, there are the people who say, when we bring up the whole issue of numbers, the reason why the numbers are growing higher is because people are becoming more aware, they're looking for it early, doctors are looking for it more intensely, women are doing self-exams, and maybe that's why the numbers are going up, because we're just finding it more, we're not letting it go unnoticed anymore. Do you think that has anything to do with it?
No, because these death statistics are the same, and basically we have had more environmental assaults than ever since after the war. So that's why we are seeing more and more people diagnosed with breast cancer.
You know, I want to come back a little later on to talk to you what I know you very much think is contributing to this. But I also want to bring Angela into the conversation with the Adelphi statewide breast cancer hotline. Angela, are you seeing younger women call into the hotline?
Honestly, we really do see ages that run the gamut, from as
huh?
young as 18 years old,
Really?
young callers with questions saying, I found something, I don't feel right, I know my body, and something just seems off to me. And fortunately, we have so much education and outreach and information for the young people in the community to say, trust your body, listen to yourself, you know how you feel, you know if something's wrong, go ahead, go to the doctor. It's okay to ask questions and to say, I think something needs to be addressed here.
Do they feel a little bit more comfortable calling you first as opposed to running to their doctor, especially maybe the younger women, because they think they really don't have anything to worry about? Maybe they're just being a little too worried.
Some women really, because breast cancer strikes us in all different ways, it doesn't have to be a family history,
Right.
and breast cancer might not be words that are mentioned in a family, so this could be their first contact with those words, breast cancer.
You can call this hotline and talk about anything.
Absolutely. 7 days a week. We have fully trained over 100 volunteers who staff the hotline. We're trained by professional social workers, and 9 out of 10 of all of those volunteers are breast cancer survivors themselves. So they really can take you through that journey. They have walked in your shoes and can help you on your way, help you to advocate for yourself, advocate on your behalf in different ways, and to encourage you to ask questions, go for a second opinion, and really have all supportive service that you might need through your journey.
All right, we're going to take a short break now, come back and talk more about this. Breast cancer on Long Island, the focus of this edition of At Issue. We're coming right back. Please stay with us. Welcome back to At Issue on News 12 Long Island. Joining me once again to talk about breast cancer, Mary Stolfa, founder of the Mary Stolfa Cancer Foundation, Karen Miller, founder of the Huntington Breast Cancer Action Coalition, and Angela Palmer from the Adelphi, New York statewide breast cancer hotline and support program. We were talking to Angela before the break, Mary, about the whole support issue and needing somebody to talk to. When you were diagnosed, did you just want to keep this all to yourself, or did you find that you wanted to talk to somebody?
I think every person diagnosed, it's different, but for me, I found I had so much support from my family, my friends, my boyfriend at the time, and
who is now your husband.
Who's now my husband, exactly. But to me, that was a big help. And
so it helped you.
It did. I actually, my doctor has an organization, and he had somebody call me from there, and she was about my age, and it really was a tremendous help. So
now you've turned to the web. You have your own website for your foundation.
Yes.
Did you turn to the web at all to find information on breast cancer after you were diagnosed?
Yes, I did.
Did you find, were you confident with what you found there?
I was confident.
Okay.
Yes. I was. I looked into different information, but I always said that I would never go by textbook as far as I have a positive attitude towards things, and I'm not going to live by what some textbook says my chances are, or statistically speaking.
Definitely
so,
especially since you had already gone past the statistics. You were 27 years old with breast cancer, and technically, you know, by the statistics, that's not supposed to happen to women who are 27. So,
exactly.
Karen, you wear, and I guess you wear a button that says what really has become the theme, the mantra of the Huntington organization, which is prevention is the cure.
Right.
And a lot of people find that to be a very unusual way to describe it, because there's a lot of people who say, you know what, there's no way you can prevent breast cancer. But you don't agree.
Absolutely not. There are environmental toxic triggers. It is our belief, and the belief of actually most of the activists, that there might be some genetic predisposition to disease, but throughout our lifetime, from the womb to the tomb, we undergo certain windows of vulnerability, where a very toxic environment that we do live in, we have to be aware of that, could trigger the onset of disease. I'm happy to say that the National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences just announced 4 winners across the country that will be opening up environmental research centers for breast cancer, connection between prenatal life into adulthood.
Wow.
Because those of us are of the belief that if you look into the windows of vulnerability from inside the womb through adulthood, you'll be able to correlate the connection between genetics and environmental assaults. And there are things that you can do in your home to lower your risks.
Go ahead, please, by all means.
First, we're looking at obesity. Obesity definitely contributes to diseases. We're looking at good nutrition, and we need to know what's actually in that food. So we want to have green labels. We want people to know exactly what they are consuming. And disease is not only occurring by those of us, we're not at fault. We're also pushing for policy changes. So we need to continue to clean up the Superfund sites. We need to clean up the brown fields. We need to use no pesticides on public lawns, because we really do believe in our heart that pesticides, which is a killer, gets into our system and actually is one of those terrible environmental toxic assaults. So we're really pushing the paradigm. There is no cure for cancer.
Organization comes out with a breast cancer study we report them, and you've got some groups sending out a message that says, we think you don't need a mammogram every year. We think the mammogram, the radiation from the mammogram is doing more harm than good. And you've got a lot of very confused women out there who don't know what to do anymore to take care of their own health.
And that's a great point, because one of our messages at the program is really to say you are not alone. If you have questions, this is a free, safe, private place that you can call, you can come to, you can contact us for clarification of any of that information.
You don't have to give anybody your name, right? It can be totally anonymous?
Absolutely, absolutely. You have some callers just choose, I just need to talk. And we are there to listen and just to say, you're not alone. There is somebody here.
Sometimes you just need to have somebody say that to you. We'll be right back with some final thoughts from my guests. You're watching At Issue on News 12 Long Island. Stay with us. And welcome back to At Issue on News 12 Long Island. Remember, if you missed any of the information on today's show, please log on to our website at news12.com and click on the numbers and link section. Karen, one of the big things that was in the news recently is the possible reuse, taking away the ban on silicone gel breast implants, the FDA considering it. So far it's been recommended that they do that. As of the taping of this program, no decision has been made, but what do you think about that?
Personally, I prefer not, because I think that all technology really needs some long proof and not by the people that are putting it out. I think that we need to know more about it before we let women use it again. It did cause a tremendous problem, and I have serious concerns about it.
Angela, do any women who have implants of any type call to ask the hotline whether it will interfere with the accuracy of their mammogram?
They do. And fortunately, the wonderful part of our program is we have the opportunity to match callers who have questions such as those with volunteers who have had similar experiences, if not very, very close experiences, so that they can speak to those issues, because it is a concern on many women's minds. Absolutely.
Mary, what's the goal of your foundation now? You know, it's very rare that you find somebody who goes through such a terrible illness and then decides to become an activist about it, to the point where you decide to start your own foundation and say, you know what, I'm going to do something about this instead of just being a victim.
Because I always say that I want to try and give back even just a little of what was given to me, because I've had so much. So as far as our efforts, it's any money that we raise is dispersed towards different efforts. One of them is cancer research, because I feel without cancer research and the advances in medicine and science today, I wouldn't be alive today. The support of other cancer patients and their families, and also to educate the public on cancer issues, because the more educated they are, they can make wiser decisions as far as their treatment options, and also possibly increase the cure rate by earlier diagnosis if they're more informed. So if I could help just one person.
That's right, that's what you said.
If
you'd say you'd be doing something even if you just helped one person.
Mm-hmm.
What do you have to say as a woman who's been through it so recently to any woman or even man, because we cannot forget that men are diagnosed more frequently now with breast cancer as well, who might either be suspicious or might have just been diagnosed, and you've just been through it all the real scary part of it all, the chemotherapy, losing the hair, you know, not knowing what the future holds for you. What do you have to say to them?
To be strong and to not give up hope, because there's hope for the future. There is.
Any advice, Karen?
There's life beyond diagnosis, and pick up the second pathway, which is not only for biomedical research, but for environmental health research.
All right, and Angela, you advice for somebody out there?
That you're not alone and that you can beat this. You can get through this.
The hotline number?
Is 1-800-877-8077.
I know that is on our website, but just in case anybody had a pen and wanted to write it down right
Absolutely.
there. Is it open 24 hours? Or
it
is?
And
okay.
as soon we have staff available throughout the day. There's 7 days a week availability on the hotline, so that anyone who does call can certainly feel free to leave even an anonymous message if there's not a person right there at that moment, but someone will return their call as soon as they possibly can.
All right, ladies, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your dedication.
Thank you very much.
Mary, we wish you continued good health and happiness. Thank you so much for joining us and giving us sharing what is a very personal story with all of us. Thank you. That's all the time we have for this edition of At Issue. Thanks again to you and to all my guests. I'm Leah Tyrell. Enjoy your weekend.